What's up, everybody? Brady Figuel here, coming at you with the best rock and metal singles of December 2024. December is usually like a pretty slow month for new music, but there was not only a lot of new music to come out in December, but there were some pretty good fucking singles as well. So let's get right into it. First off, I loved the new Superheaven single, Numb to What Is Real. Even more so than Long Gone, their previous single, which was released a couple months ago now. This song is just so emotive and it sounds so depressing and moody, which is my favorite aspect of this band's music. And then moments like that main chord progression or the very raspy and downtrodden clean vocals. The vocal cadences and the verses of this song too are just so fucking catchy. And the song overall has somewhat more of that grunge aesthetic and that grunge type sound that this band has always had pretty prominently. Arch Enemy released the title track off of their next album, Blood Dynasty, and these singles from this new Arch Enemy record have been pretty fucking good so far, and this song kind of takes more of that stomping traditional metal feel with it. The song also has some pretty cool mood shifts going on the whole time between, again, those sort of dominant chord-driven main riff parts that are more in that traditional melodeath style. But there's also those really atmospheric and full-sounding chord progressions in those verses, which kind of dip their toes into black metal a little bit, just in the overall ominous sound of it. This is yet another epic song from this new Arch Enemy record, although I'm not really sure why they decided to leak the literally the opening track, the closing track, and the title track. Those, in my opinion, should be like the last three songs you should ever release as singles, and they released all of them as singles. So I'm not sure I agree with the singles and the tracks in which they're releasing as far as the album context, but at least the songs have been awesome. I was not expecting to hear any new music from Shadows Fall, but they released a pretty killer new song called In the Gray. It's an exciting time to be a metalcore fan. I mean, we just had As LA Dying drop their new album. We got new Killswitch Engage coming. We got new All That Remains coming. Bullet for My Valentine, I think, is supposed to have an album out next year, and now we get a new Shadows Fall album, perhaps? But seriously, this is a great song. It has that impeccable balance between hardcore and straight-up metal, which is literally exhibited in the first minute of the song. You get that real thrashy opening with those fast drums, and you get that more hardcore section with those more barking style vocals and that mean rhythm guitar riff. The chorus has those gang vocals and those raspy clean vocals. There's also that riff that is literally just pinch harmonics. It's a riff made completely of pinch harmonics. That's pretty creative, if you ask me. I think Shadows Fall just said, okay, we haven't made any new music in, like, how many years was it? 13 years or something like that. So we need to give our fans a healthy dose of pinch harmonics to make up for lost time. Bleed From Within's new song, In Place of Your Halo, is great. There's so many layers to this song, and I love it, but it also is just more of Bleed From Within's straightforward and classic sound, which is essentially metalcore with heavy groove metal influence. And that essentially is what this song is. I mean, there's your breakdown parts and your screamed vocals, which I've always really loved the vocals that this band has. But, like, listen to that main riff and just listen to how fucking groovy and catchy it is. The groove metal is very much there as far as influencing this song. And, of course, I have to talk about the bagpipes in this song, which I did not expect at all, but it works so fucking well. I don't even know how. It just does. They have somewhat of like an exotic flair to them, and then when the music kicks back in full, they provide that extra layer of atmosphere. Really creative choice on the part of Bleed From Within here. And those rolling snare drum beats at the end of the song give it more of a militant vibe to it as well. The song, in its feel and its mood, definitely goes through a few different evolutions, which makes it super interesting. The Halo Effect released another song off of their upcoming album titled Cruel Perception. This one is another kind of layer added to this new Halo Effect album because it is a bit different in the sense that these verses are a bit more stripped back as far as the music. They put definitely a bigger emphasis on atmosphere than the first two songs we've heard so far. And then, of course, you get your contrast between those verses and those more full, more guitar-led melodeath sections. One thing I do like about this track is that despite the verses being more stripped back, Michael Stein's vocals here are still fully screamed, so one would think that it might be a bit of a contrast and those two conflicting layers over each other, but it actually works and it sounds really good. There's a very soulful, triumphant guitar solo about 2/3 of the way through this song, and it allows the song to really come to a climax before it ends. Tremonti released another song off of their upcoming album, Then Will Show Us How, and it's actually the title track. While I haven't came back to this track as much as I did the first three that came out, I still think it's a really good song, and I still think that it will be even better in the full album context. A recurring theme throughout many of these songs I'm talking about in this video is that I've had some very positive things to say about the previous singles released from these upcoming albums, and Tremonti is no different. I'm gonna confidently predict that we're gonna get probably 2 straight up ballads on this new Tremonti album, and this is definitely one of them. But it highlights all the same praises that I've given to these singles so far, especially as far as Mark Tremonti's vocals. I was a little worried about how the ballads were gonna go on this album because Tremonti's ballads are always a little hit or miss for me. But Mark Tremonti's vocals on this song are just unbelievable. He has grown so much as a vocalist. Like, just listen to the way he, effortlessly transitions from his lower register into his falsetto. The verses as well, the cadences and the clean guitars are just so emotive, and the song also does go through a few different mood changes throughout. It has an appropriate apocalyptic feel to it. The band God Complex released their comeback single, which is one of the most chaotic hardcore tracks that maybe I've ever heard. The first 30 seconds of this song are pretty much just full-on pure dissonance before those riffs start to creep in, and it then kicks into frantic drums and chaotic vocals and more dissonant riff. Production-wise, the double bass drum and that chunky rhythm guitar sound awesome. And as the song nears its end, you get those sludgier parts that transition from more of those faster chugs into that nasty breakdown. Also, the band Mutagenic Host, which is a band I recently discovered, actually, excuse me, released a song called Artificial Harvest of the Obscene. Pretty eclectic title there, but this band is more just straight up death metal. In the guitar tone and in the riffs definitely gives a nod to classic death metal, but the brutal vocal performance and somewhat of a more dystopian feel, especially in the lyrics, are in great contrast yet flow with the kind of contrasting riffing going on between those real mean tremolo riffs and those more bottom heavy groovy riffs. I also really like how the song ends by more just fading out into straight ambiance. I think this is another song that's going to benefit from being in full album context. And last but not least, the new Paleface Swiss song Love Burns. Another example of this band really pulling off that kind of three-way intersection between deathcore, really heavy Slipknot-esque nu metal, and straight-up death metal on this song with some prominent tremolo riffing at times. About a minute and a half through the song, there's even like a short little shreddy guitar solo, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't expect that. Of course, you got your Corey Taylor-esque, really rapid styles of vocal cadences. You got the more deathcore type breakdown part. The song really keeps you on your toes, and about 2.5 minutes in, it goes a bit more mid-tempo, and you even get some echoey, tortured, clean vocals. Those more melodic guitar leads also really add to that feeling of torture in those clean vocals, and the cadences as well are very catchy. And before I end the video, I do have actually one more song that I want to talk about, the new Omentor single, High on War. And the reason why I'm kind of separating this song from the others I've talked about is because it's actually me. This is my music. High on War is the first song that I've released from my new project Omentor, where it is actually me performing every instrument on there, guitar, drums, bass, as well as doing the vocals. I can best describe Omentor's sound as kind of combining hardcore with more of those early days of metalcore, as well as some thrash influence. If you're a fan of bands like Hatebreed, I definitely recommend checking this out. I put a lot of thought into the lyrics of this song, as I did with a lot of Omentor's lyrics, but this song in particular kind of brings up politics here in the US a little bit. Instrumentally, I use more percussive style guitar riffing, but there's also a Slayer part that comes in later in the song, and a really cool breakdown that I'm very proud of. I was debating including my own song in this video, but I had to because I'm so proud of how it sounds, and I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out the song. I put a lot of hard work into it, and I'm actually dropping the full length next year. Apple Music and Spotify links in the description. But anyways, that's all I had for you guys today. Thank you guys very much for watching. If I missed any songs that came out in the month of December, comment those below and I will check them out. Remember to hit the subscribe button for more rock and metal related content, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.